They're back, guys. After only their first conference last year at E3, Bethesda Softworks is coming back to unveil something big. Now, I will say before starting off this video that while the Elder Scrolls 6 isn't completely out of the question, I don't think it's going to be unveiled at E3 this year for reasons I'll get into later in the video. A new Fallout game by Obsidian, on the other hand, is very possible, and after looking at all the options, I think this is definitely the most likely thing that Bethesda will unveil as their centerpiece at E3, and is probably the primary reason why they're holding a conference. Also, one more thing I want to get off my chest is that a lot of this is pure speculation. While I do have substantial evidence for most of my points, a couple of my arguments are based on gut feels, so none of this is in any way confirmed. And with that out of the way, let's go ahead and get straight into things, folks. For starters, I want to convince you guys that Bethesda's main purpose at this conference is to reveal something related to Fallout or the Elder Scrolls and not any of their other series. Consider the fact that Bethesda held their first ever E3 conference in 2015. Even with projects as big as Skyrim and Fallout New Vegas in the past, they never once held an E3 conference before. Additionally, according to GameSpot, the vice president of Bethesda Softworks, Pete Hines, came out and said after the 2015 E3 conference that Bethesda was unsure about doing another one, not just in 2016, but ever again. Hines said back on June 25th, 2015, and I quote here, "I don't know if we'll do one again. This year just felt like the right time to do this kind of thing." Which shows that Bethesda isn't exactly jumping at the opportunity for another showcase. So, if they're scheduling a conference at E3, it's to show off something that they think is a big deal. I say it's gotta be something not quite as big necessarily, but at least on the order of Fallout 4. The most immediate possibilities to consider are Dishonored 2 and Doom, but considering the fact that we've already known about these games for a while, I'm just not sure if I buy either of them being the centerpiece of this conference. Something has quite clearly drastically changed since Pete Hines said he was unsure about ever doing an E3 conference again. Because they're doing another one now for the second year in a row. And them revealing Dishonored 2 gameplay or more Doom gameplay while super hype is not a drastic change since we've known about them for about a year now. Also, to be brutally honest, I can't say that I think either of those games are on the order of Fallout 4 as cool as they are. Looking at the remaining series published by Bethesda Softworks, there are really only two possibilities left that are on the order of Fallout 4, something from the Fallout franchise itself, or something from the Elder Scrolls. So I guess the point is that I don't think Bethesda would announce an E3 conference unless they were revealing something big from one of their two most well-known franchises. One more interesting thing to note is that going all the way back to 2008, Bethesda has shown something related to the Elder Scrolls or Fallout every single year at E3. Not in a conference, of course, but in smaller showcases, which only increases the chances of them following the same pattern and doing so again. And that, in a nutshell, is why I'm convinced that the purpose of Bethesda's E3 conference in 2016 is to announce something big related to Fallout or the Elder Scrolls. So in light of this, let's go ahead and consider the possibilities, and first up I want to talk about the prospect of Fallout 4 DLC. Now, I definitely think that Bethesda is going to announce something related to the DLC for this game at their conference. The first DLC will probably already be out by the time E3 arrives, but even still, I think there's a good chance they'll show us something on the second DLC for this game. However, I highly doubt that it's going to be the centerpiece. There's just no way Bethesda is scheduling a conference solely to show off DLC for any game, no matter how big it is, so this is probably happening, but it's definitely not the centerpiece. Along the same lines, an Elder Scrolls Online expansion is very possible as well, but once again, there's no way that this is the centerpiece of the conference. So let's go ahead and consider the next possibility, which is of course the Elder Scrolls 6. Like I said at the beginning of this video, as hype as it would be for them to announce the Elder Scrolls 6, I don't think it's going to happen. Because first of all, if Bethesda does announce it at E3 2016, there's no way it's going to have a release date of 2018 or later. Bethesda, of all publishers out there, just isn't going to announce a game almost 3 years in advance. For example, think about how little time there was between Fallout 4's announcement and its release date, despite how big of a title it was. Which means that hypothetically, if Bethesda announces the Elder Scrolls 6 at E3 this year, it would have to be released in 2016 or 2017. A 2016 release is quite frankly impossible because it's only 1 year after Fallout 4 came out, which was a major project. they're definitely going to need some cooldown time after something that big. So the only possibility left is a 2017 release date, which is actually very plausible if you think about it, since looking at past Elder Scrolls games, there was a 4-year break between Morrowind and Oblivion, and 5 years between Oblivion and Skyrim. And if the next Elder Scrolls were released in 2017, that would mean a 6-year break since Skyrim, which is on the order of previous games. Also, Bethesda Game Studios did expand recently, meaning they might be able to get this game out a little earlier than expected. Even still, I think 2017 is a bit early, and that a 2018 release is more likely, because this next Elder Scrolls game is going to take time, and Bethesda isn't the type of publisher to push an earlier release date if it means sacrificing quality. So, because an Elder Scrolls 6 announcement at E3 this year results in a few too many contradictions with regards to release dates, I'd say it's not happening. Still though, it's certainly not out of the realm of possibility, so don't get your hopes down just yet. And with that, let's go ahead and move on to the last and most likely option, and that is a new Fallout game. Now, I know what you guys are thinking right now. Roshank, how could we possibly get a new Fallout game announcement when Fallout 4 was only just released? Well, consider this. Fallout New Vegas was announced only 1 year after Fallout 3 came out. Additionally, it was released only 2 years after Fallout 3. Even more surprising, it was developed in only 1 year. Meaning it's really not out of the question that we get a similar situation here in which Bethesda hands off Fallout to a different developer as they did with New Vegas and Obsidian, announces the new Fallout game this year at E3, then releases it 2 years after Fallout 4 in 2017. Also, consider this, Obsidian Entertainment has said countless times that they want to work on a new Fallout, as evidenced by the screenshots you're seeing on the screen right now. Furthermore, they've said that if given the choice, they want to move the Fallout franchise to New Orleans. The first piece of evidence for this is a quote from Josh Sawyer, the director for Fallout New Vegas. Sawyer said, and I quote, "Nathaniel Chapman, who used to work at Obsidian, he thought New Orleans would be a really cool setting for a Fallout game, and I think that it would be really cool as well." But what's even crazier is that Sawyer also released this picture on Instagram, which instantly had people buzzing about the prospect of Fallout New Orleans. Now, unfortunately, things are a bit more complicated than this, and I plan on discussing the entire topic of Fallout New Orleans in a separate video, but nonetheless, the point is that Obsidian is on board with Fallout New Orleans. Furthermore, Bethesda is going to need something to hold over fans between now and Fallout 5, which is probably coming out in the 2020s. I mean, look at their past behavior. Between Fallout 3 and 4, we had New Vegas, and between Skyrim and the Elder Scrolls 6, we have the Elder Scrolls Online. To keep fans from getting jittery, Bethesda is going to want to make another Fallout game between now and Fallout 5, and the best fit to make this new Fallout game is by far Obsidian, since for one, a lot of employees who made the original Fallout 1 and 2 are there, and they have experience with a similar situation in making Fallout New Vegas. So if you ask me, this is by far the best and most likely option for the centerpiece of Bethesda's conference at E3 2016. And for all those reasons, I think the big reveal at Bethesda's showcase is going to be Fallout New Orleans. Well, alright folks, that is pretty much going to do it for this video. As always, if you enjoyed, be sure to drop me a like down below and subscribe to my channel if you haven't already for more Fallout, Elder Scrolls, and related content in the future. Also, be sure to let me know your thoughts on all of this down in the comments, whether you agree or disagree with me. I'd love to hear your thoughts on this issue. Otherwise, I hope you all have an awesome rest of your day, and I will see you in my next video.